Hello viewers, my name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
This is Seeking Media Productions. And this is it. The one that's been accumulating for 10 years now, Avengers Infinity War.
Now, to say that there hasn't been a lot of work or dedication that went into actually getting up to Infinity War would be asinine at best.
19 movies.
And not all. You had some hit and misses throughout the bunch, but for the mass majority of it, there has been a lot of dedication that went into it. And I gotta say that there were some movies that were enjoyable, and others that I could just definitely just throw away. But we're here. We're finally here. This is the beginning of one of their magnum opuses.
Yes, and it only took us the week after it came out to watch this.
You know, people had things to do, so I mean, I was debating for a while whether or not I was going to watch this one.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Black Panther. Doctor Strange was okay. It wasn't everything I hoped it could be, but it was okay. And I still love, Captain America Winter Soldier. That's still probably one of the best ones in the series.
And speaking of Captain America Winter Soldier, I would say after the Avengers film, the first one, came out, I was not feeling as well as most people were for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because after that it was Iron Man 3 and Thor the Dark World that really are very low points to me for as films in this general universe.
I still even say Thor Ragnarok. I mean, I know people like that movie, but in my opinion, I could have took it over.
More of that soon.
True.
But Winter Soldier is the reason why I'm still watching these films.
Mm-hmm. But Avengers Infinity War, I am pleased to say that for the overall, this was actually a really good movie. I venture to even say it's a great movie.
Yes, this is really up there with a Winter Soldier,
Mm-hmm.
even though that's still my favorite one personally.
Yeah.
But it's creeping up there very close. And what they did with this film, production-wise, it is grand in scope because the story.
I mean, you have a lot of characters that had to be thrown into the mix. The story was overarching. I mean, this was a story that was building up, I think, throughout how many of the films?
19, I said.
Yeah, it was 19 films, but specifically, some films more than others actually had to deal with the plot that you actually get in this film.
But going back to production, you have a film that still is struggling with cinematography-wise.
Yeah, this is something that all these Marvel Cinematic films have a problem with. The whole idea behind actually making the movie look and feel like as though it was a film. This is a problem that they definitely still have. I still find it at parts, whether or not I'm looking at it as a movie or just a really well-made television movie.
And this is going by, it has still a basic composition.
Mm-hmm.
As far as colors go, it's actually more balanced than most of the Marvel films are, aesthetically, but it's still having too muted lighting that it doesn't really contrast well with the overall film. Like, even to this day, I don't think that there's like a still shot that I could say.
I was about to say that there's not one shot in this film, despite how great some of the scenes are, that I could definitely come away and say I could have this framed in my room and it's like a portrait for me.
But for here,
it was nothing really.
It is basic. But
yeah.
They do deliver on the action.
Yeah, this was a very action-packed film. There are quite a few fight scenes and just straight-up action scenes in general that I thought was very well done.
Something the Russo brothers have been very consistent with since the Winter Soldier, Civil War, and now this film.
Definitely.
But sadly enough, they brought back a composer, Alan Silvestri, who did the first Captain America film and the first Avengers film.
Let me just iterate with this. Aside from Winter Soldier, there hasn't really been a really good soundtrack or a score that has been done for any of these Marvel films. And I find it very distressing. I mean, Other
Black
than
Panther,
Black Panther had a really great score, but it's like there's so few movies in the series in general that literally come out with something that's actually worth actually hearing in the movie.
And Alan Silvestri is a person who actually did a good job with the very few films that preceded this film.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit disappointing when I'm just hearing like generic space film music.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since
nothing that makes the movie stand out for itself. I mean,
No.
This was Avengers Infinity War. As I said, a magnum opus. You would pull out all of the stops you have right now. Don't get me wrong, this is supposed to be a quote-unquote part one, if you're going to say that. It's not really a part one, but it's definitely something that they're going to end up having a second part to it. Mm-hmm. But even with that being said, this is still a pretty big part in the story of the cinematic universe. A part for it's an Avengers film.
And I just don't understand why they did have any great melodies or something that's helped tethers the film and helps you realize musically speaking what this film is about. But talking about the story of this, it's basically the films bring back up the Infinity Stones.
Yeah.
And it's like a heist film. Like
the heist film
or Thanos part.
That was no. This was definitely a Thanos film. This is definitely his film from start to finish. If I was going to give it any real theme behind it, is Thanos capturing all the Infinity Stones and gearing up for his master plan.
Yes.
That was literally the entire scope of the story in this film.
While also breaking off into either an Avengers film or a Guardians of the Galaxy film.
But at the center of it all was all Thanos' show.
And this being a big magnum opus to what they're doing, a lot of what happens in this film goes very in and out of how you feel about what happens and impact-wise.
Yeah. I'm just going to put this out there. The opening of this film is something that may be a problem for certain viewers that didn't keep up with the stories and the movies that came before it. There are a specific number of films that you need to watch before going into it. I'm not saying you have to watch them all, but there are some films you might want to necessarily see. And give it or take, love it or hate it, I would definitely suggest that if you are a fan of the Marvel Universe, or at least just these movies in general, you go out there and you try and educate yourself, because this movie throws you into it immediately.
Especially if you had not watched Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, that was a pretty big one. That was something they've done with these Thor films, that if there was any character throughout the cinematic universe that literally has a tie between Thanos or the Infinity Stones,
or basically the whole plot of
the Avengers, it's the Thor movies. Yeah, they haven't really done that great of a job, in my opinion, as far as bringing them to the screen. But love it or hate it, they're the ones you really do need to see in order to understand what the hell is going on in the Avengers film.
And yes, you having to do homework just for this film is a bit of an unfortunate thing. And it also doesn't help that because this film is technically a part one, like I said about how it varies between how you feel after this film because of what happens that might impact you, it may or may not sit well.
Definitely so, and that actually has, and a lot of that might actually have to do with the sheer amount of characters that were in this film in total. Now, to reiterate, this film, Avengers Infinity War, is definitely Thanos' game. This is Thanos' show. This is his story. This character has been teased and has been cameoed in a few films, but you never really get to understand who he was or what he's about and what his motivations are until you see him in this film. And they do a good enough job actually introducing this character and expressing the character of Thanos.
Yeah, he's a very fleshed out character, but them having Thanos basically be the main character in this film, it really sidetracks a lot of characters, basically shorthanding them, especially for characters who you might think
should have had a bigger part in a bigger part in this film. Some of those characters that I feel as though definitely got shortchanged happens to be Captain America himself
and all Wakanda.
Yeah, all of Wakanda. I mean, not just Black Panther, the entirety of Wakanda. And Black Widow actually got a little bit shortchanged too.
Like
and
anybody like the rogue Avengers and Wakanda, they're the ones who are shortchanged.
Yeah,
flat out.
And that was a bummer for me, and that's actually more the reason why that I felt this film probably didn't exceed super expectations. It has exceeded some of mine, but I definitely felt as though that was a big blow for me from what I was going to originally call it an amazing film. It ends up being just a great film.
And let's go back to Thanos, because his ideology is something questionable at best.
You can understand it or you can hate it depending on what you feel about it. I mean, they definitely changed him a bit from how he's depicted in the comics to how he's depicted in the movie. In the comics, he's more of just a straight up crazy death worshipping individual who literally loves death. Like, that is his thing. In this film, it's not necessarily a love for death, it's a love for balance.
Try and make things as equal as possible, but if you actually start doing the actual science behind this method, he's just still more crazier.
But give it or take, I mean, your flaws are what ends up making you actually quite interesting, and in a long line of Marvel villains that have not been at all interesting, this was still a breath of fresh air, because the last character that we got to actually understand a little bit behind them as their motives are is Killmonger from Black Panther, and some of the Marvel Netflix villains, namely
Kilgrave and Kingpin.
Definitely, those two characters. I love the character of Kingpin. He's intimidating no matter how you look at him. And Kilgrave is so crazy, but at the same time, he drew me in. And
speaking of those other MCU characters, it's very unfortunate that the television is not recognized in the film.
That's also another thing that's really starting to really irritate me. Having to understand that this is supposed to be a complete combined shared universe doesn't necessarily always feel that way, because when you have television shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the Daredevil, Punisher, or Iron Fist, and Luke Cage, and Jessica Jones,
and now Cloak and Dagger.
Yeah, Cloak and Dagger. Having to understand that they're two supposed to be heroes that's in the same universe that you're seeing with the Avengers and all their separate films, the Guardians of the Galaxy, you can't affect one and the other not affecting the other.
It's just bad storytelling at that point, and continuity-wise as well.
I mean, I get it. There's behind the scenes drama, and there's issues that ends up between creative decisions. But at the same time, when you say and you promise that what you're delivering is a complete and told story, deliver it. You can't just say that we're going to say one thing and not do it when you get the chance. And there's been plenty of opportunities for them to share storylines.
Yes, and just the lack of relevance that the television has in the films is bothersome. The short-handed of major characters is a problem, as well as the whole concept of this technically still being a part one, and most of the stuff that will happen in part two may or may not
either live up to what was done in part one or completely outpace what part one brought to the table. And you start thinking about, well, why couldn't you just put the two together?
I don't know. This is why intermissions should be a thing.
You know, they should never really went away from that. I get it. Most people don't want to be in the theater for too long. But if it's been proven that no matter how long the movie is, if it's something that everybody wants to see, people are willing to sit their butts down in the seat to watch it.
Yeah.
Or at least go to the theater more than once.
It's just supposed to be a nice, good out time for entertainment,
basically.
True. But yeah, that is all what we have for you for this review.
At the end of the day, Avengers ended up having to be a pretty great film. Could have been better, could have been amazing, could have been epic, but it's just a great film.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. My name is Adam.
And I'm Aaron.
And this has been a Seeking Media Production.
Well, if you like this video, please share, subscribe, tell a friend. We're always looking for more viewers, and we are here for you guys.
Follow us on Twitter, Facebook.
Definitely. Oh, and please remember to hit that little bell somewhere around here. I forgot where they put them at, but please hit that if you want more notifications of what we're bringing to you and what you might want to see.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.